Hey everybody, it's John, 3000 Hitman. You can see Ray from Philly there. What's going on, Ray?
Hey, John, how you doing?
All right. So we're going to start this first show off, you guys. We're going to kind of talk about with the sports card talk. We're going to jump into a question that's been raised. And so we're going to make this the first episode. And that's talking about how to put a full set together from beginning to end. What's involved with that set, what you might need to look for, where you might need to get it, and then we'll kind of go from there. If you guys have any questions at the end, make sure you shoot myself or Ray a message and we can get back to you. So let's jump into it. So first thing, putting a set together. I can tell you my part. We'll talk to Ray in a little bit, see how Ray does his. For me, I think there's only two ways to either do it. Is either you buy that set outright, or you can go and buy the set in a job lot or a card lot quantity and kind of start it that way. Maybe put a spreadsheet together with what cards you're missing. For me, probably 90% of my collection has all been bought at the time. I only have a few that are being pieced together. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it too. Is right now I'm doing the 80s sets, and since the 80s are kind of affordable, I've been just buying them outright, fully completed, the regular and traded in binders.
Okay.
But once I get done with the 80s and we hit into more expensive territory, a lot of my friends and everybody I know, when they put sets together, for example, the 71 set, it's $1,000 to $2,000 if you bought it all at one shot.
Right.
So it's best to just piece it together once you get into expensive sets. And that's what makes it fun about putting sets together, is the journey of putting it together.
Exactly. Now, for me, I know that there's a couple things I go through when I start the set. If I buy a lot quantity, I'll look to see, they will give me a list of cards that are available in that lot. So for instance, I did 1970 and I pieced that one together, got the lot, and kind of went from there and built a spreadsheet. Got that spreadsheet built with what I had, made sure I had my sheets involved, my binder involved, what binder I had. I know I'm kind of OCD on my binder, making sure that it's labeled on the outside with the tops, the brand, and the year. Is that the same thing, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I mean, I like how you have your binder set. I mean, it looks like they're white binders and it has a lace on the side, on the front.
It's got a baseball thread.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's car companies out there and supply companies out there that will sell baseball card binders like BCW and Ultra Pro. They already have them. But if you're going to put a full set together that are really big, say 792 cards or more, especially when you put a traded set together, I haven't really seen BCW or Ultra Pro sell binders that are bigger than 3 inches.
Correct.
So if you want to have a binder that's going to be a baseball card binder, then you're going to put a set together that's more than 800 cards, then you're going to have to, and you want a baseball card binder, then you're going to need two binders. Or you just get a 5-inch binder from a regular store or supply store, office supply store.
So let's talk about, for those who are asking, for me at least, and we'll jump to you. For me, it's when I look or I pick the year, I choose the set, I choose the year that I want to do. And then from there, I will look and see if the lot of the cards that I'm looking for, what kind of condition, are they good, mint, near to mint, excellent? What kind of condition are they in? And then from there, I'll usually look for the person that maybe has the biggest lot. That's what I'll do, unless I'm buying it outright. I'll look for the person with the biggest lot. For me, it's okay to get a lot of commons, because I can put and plug in those ones that I need to start building that set. And then I'll worry about the big names and the high-end numbers usually towards the end. At least that's what I do.
Now, when you put your set together, do you wait till the set's done before you put them in binders, or you put them in binders as you go, and then whatever space is available, you leave that empty?
I'll put them in as I go.
Hmm.
I'll put everything in the binder, get the pages laid out. And the cards I do have, I'll line up. Usually there's 9 cards to a page.
Hmm.
I'll put them in order. I'll put them in numeric order so I know if I'm missing, where I'm missing that slot, where I'm missing that card. Yep.
That's the best way to do it, because this way, instead of waiting until you have all the cards and then putting 800 cards in a binder, it's just going to be racking. But yeah, as you do it, and then I've seen people in the empty spaces put a blank index card in the empty space, and even put that player's name on the index card so you know who you're missing.
Okay.
That makes it a lot easier to you know what I mean? So instead of, because you might pull the card and see, like, all right, this is who I'm missing.
Right.
Because the space will be blank, and if you can fill that empty space with a white index plain card and write the player's name on there, it's a lot easier to know who you're looking for and what's missing.
Okay. All right.
It's a thought. I think it's a good process to do.
Now, the other thing for me is I'll show you with the as I move into the actual setting it up. I use this right here. I use this Ultra Pro Silver Series, the 9 pocket page. It comes to a 100-tote box.
Mm-hmm.
You get them on Amazon. They're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
These are the pages that I use. They got a hologram on the inside. They're a little bit stronger, UV protected. So for those who are looking, again, it's the Ultra Pro Silver Series.
Right.
This is what I'll use. Okay.
And I highly recommend getting that product, because if you go to like places like Walmart, they do have sheets, but when I say they're really thin,
no,
they're like tissue paper thin.
Yeah.
They're terrible. You want to keep the cards preserved well. It's worth getting Ultra Pro sheets.
The other thing is, you guys should be able to, I know Ray has a couple that are bigger with the traded, but you should be able to get a complete year with one box. I've gotten some of the bigger sets that I've had to go into a box and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also single-sided. That's single-sided. Make sure you guys are not putting your cards in there, the 9, and then flip it over and put them on the back side of it. You're going to destroy that card. It's going to bend and tear. And besides that, you won't be able to read any of the stats or anything you need on the back side of that card.
I learned that the hard way. I just bought an 85 top set that I showed a couple weeks ago. I bought it from someone on eBay, and when it came in, everything was double-sided. So I had to take all the cards out of the binder and buy like another 25 to 30 sheets to be able to fit all the cards in that binder. And then of course it didn't fit, so I had to put them in 2 binders. But double-sided like this, back to back, I don't recommend it neither, because I like seeing the back of the cards. So single-sided is absolutely the way to go.
And it takes forever to undo that and put it all back together.
It took me 3 nights to do that.
So as you move into the next phase, the binder itself, I prefer, as you've seen in some of my videos, it's a white Ultra Pro binder. I like the stitching on the outside because it looks like a baseball.
Yeah.
It's a 3-inch D-ring, and I think the D-ring is important. If you get the O-ring, the pages don't sit correctly. The D-ring, they lay flat.
Yep. Back in the day, in the 80s, they were round rings.
Yes.
And they were a lot harder to flip through the pages.
Yes.
And also, back to the sheets, if you have binders from back in the 80s, I really highly recommend taking, and they've been in those sheets from back then. I mean, they were oil-based, PVC oil-based back then. So they're totally different today, the plastic that it's made out of today. Mm-hmm. So it's worth spending $25 to get a box of 100 and putting them in the sheets that are made today.
Yeah.
If you ever notice, if you've seen an old set, the pages are stuck together.
They are.
I've seen that many times where I bought a set and it came in, it was a 1988 set or something, and they were completely stuck together, and you had to peel them apart. So threw all them sheets away and bought, current sheets today because they're not PVC oil based.
And the other thing too is if you have bad sheets and you have to remove a card for whatever reason, when you remove that card, it's going to leave that ink from that
Yeah,
picture on the inside of that sleeve.
yeah.
It's a
It's
bad
a
deal.
lot of things. People think it's just buying a binder and putting them. I mean, they're going to be in there forever. So you got to make sure you have the right ring, the right sheets,
Yeah.
and even how they lay. We were just talking about, there's two ways to have them laying out, having the
So
right.
that's the other thing. So you lay yours flat is what you do right now?
Well, I like them standing up because they look better.
Yeah.
But from what I was told, it's better to lay them flat and put a magazine on the top page that keeps
Right.
anything from moving around. But I would recommend it's okay to have them standing up if the shelf's going to be full, and this way the binders are kind of like Lego pieced together, and they're going to not move around, and then it's okay to stand them up. But if the shelf's not completely full, then I would recommend laying them flat on the back on the side and putting a magazine on the top so
Well,
that.
that's exactly mine are pretty tight. They're fit in there really tight. Mine have sat up for years upright, unless they're being stored.
Mhm.
They've been sitting upright. I have never laid them down. I don't like laying them down.
I don't like how it looks laying down.
Well, not only that, but some of mine have the binders tend to bow and it doesn't look right. So I put them upright. They stay tight. They stay good.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, that works better. Now I will say on a couple things for those people who have T206s and the T205s,
Right.
some of the gold border cards. Those sheets are different.
Yep.
There are sheets that are specifically made for tobacco cards. So I would encourage you to make sure you check that out. Ultra Pro makes a set for those. They're a little bit smaller. They're actually that 1.5 to 2 inches for those cards. So you can check that out from Ultra Pro if you need to make sure you're putting that together. I know with mine, the T205 gold border, the 1911, I got probably 15 or 20 of those. I
Mhm.
haven't even dropped those into pages yet because they make me nervous because they're so brittle at this point, even pulling them out and putting them in. So for those who have that question, yes, Ultra Pro makes them for tobacco cards.
And they make them for Bowman cards from the 50s.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I'm actually thinking about doing the 64 Topps Giant set, which is a pretty big sheet, and I've even seen sheets that fit those cards as well. Now I think they're only um, four slot pages because they're much bigger cards. But they have
Mhm.
sheets for all different sizes. So if people are out there worried about, well, I have this kind of, it's not the traditional baseball card. They have BCW and Ultra Pro and other sites out there. They pretty much can fit any kind of card today.
Okay. So the next question would be labeling.
Hmm.
I know some people P-touch the outside of their binders. That's okay. For me, I've chosen two different separate colors, blue and red. Um, that's more distinguishing for me. But again, whatever works for anybody. When you P-touch it, for me, it kind of gets lost on the white binder. You can't see it very much.
Hmm.
When I put the brand along the center of the spine and then the year across the top, for me, it's a little bit more uniform. But again, these are just hints. However you guys want to do it. I don't know how you do it, Ray, but
Well, right now I have. If you see the binders have the little square slot with the piece of paper in there or whatever that you could slide in.
yeah,
A lot of people will put like the card number 1
yeah,
in that side spine or a wrapper from that particular year. So if you have an 84 tops or whatever, they will find a wrapper and keep it nice and neat and slide
right.
in that little slot. Or do what you do, or they use a P-touch label maker. So I like how you're doing it right now. I've seen the white binders, and how are you putting that on the spine? Is it just something that you just print out, your computer?
You know what I did? I went to Staples and bought a stencil. I went to Staples, bought a stencil and a red and blue Sharpie marker. and that's all I do. So I'll put tops along the center of the spine with the stencil, and then the stencil I'll use the number portion, put that across the top, and then it stays uniform across the shelf and just looks a little bit neater. So
So the binders that you have, it has the stitching on the front, but the spines clean, they're smooth, there's nothing on them.
correct.
Okay, so then you just stencil the spine
Yeah.
with, yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. I mean, there's so many creative ways you can dress it up, and yours is pretty cool. I like how you've done that. And I've seen other people out there, like I said, put the wrappers in the slot, because a lot of binders will have a slot in there. That's a pretty cool idea. Or a card, usually
Yeah.
number one. There's still a card number one in the binder. They just got another card number one so that
Yes.
you get out of the binder. There's
Yeah.
a double and
Yeah.
put that in there. So
I've seen a couple really good ideas with people doing that.
that's actually a really cool idea, because you can actually just look at the whole rows of your binders and you could just see a card on the side of the spine, and you know instantly what year that's going to be.
Right.
If you're familiar with the cards, then oh, that's 87 tops. I could tell right away. You don't even have to
Exactly.
you don't even have to write it on the spine, because you can see the card. It's a pretty cool idea. There's so many ways to dress it up. It's not even funny.
So I think for me, maybe the last portion of the show would be how to determine what year you want to go after, or how you want to start that. If you're starting, or if you're, if you're new, or old, you've already established a pattern. For me, I kind of went after that period in the 70s when I was growing up. So I kind of focused on that. Completed all the 70s. Then I jumped into the 80s, completed all the 70s, completed all the 80s. Now, the thing that I do that I'm not sure if a lot of people will is I stopped at right about 87, 88, putting them in binders. Now they're in the factory boxes.
Okay.
So I'm trying to keep enough room for everything.
Mhm.
And from about 89, 90 forward, they're all in boxes. They're all in factory boxes.
Mhm.
Everything else is in a binder.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and for a lot of people out there, to let them know that it's once you get into the 80s, there's traded sets as
Yes.
well. So, if you want to have all of the cards from that year, it's not going to not only be the regular, and the regular is going to have 792 cards, and then another 130 for the traded. So if you
Yeah.
want to do like what I did for the 80s, it's 930 cards. So a 3-inch binder, without a doubt, is not going to do it.
Make it.
You can do a 3-inch binder for the regular set, and then a 1-inch binder for the traded, or just get a regular binder from the office supply store that's 5 inches,
Right. Right.
and then just decorate it the way you want to decorate the spine.
I think that's important for people to remember, that after a certain period, the factory sets are probably a way to go, just to keep them nice and clean.
Mhm.
You flip it over, it's got the card numbers on the back. You know what number you have. But for me, the 60s, 70s, and 80s are all in binders. Everything past that is in boxes and factory sets.
Also, back onto the sheets, back in the 80s, they used to be side loaded.
Yes.
A lot of people will remember that you used to put the cards in the side. Now they're all top loaded. So you should really make sure that all your sheets are top loaded, because if they're side loaded and you close them, they're all going to fall out.
Right.
Which is,
Right. So the Ultra Pro sheets, that's how they come now.
Yeah.
So to Ray's point, if you have anything that's side loaded, you may want to stop that process and make sure you pick up the top loaded ones.
Yep, without a doubt. That's huge too. It's not only the oil-based PVC, but you want top-loaded.
Yeah.
Now, there's if you see on my graded cards, I buy something called Perfect Fit Sleeves, which covers the slab. Well, Perfect Fit Sleeves also has Perfect Fit Sleeves for raw cards for binders.
Oh, okay.
So what it does is it has an over flap to close it, but you put the flap on the bottom part of the card.
Right.
That flap will be thicker on the bottom, and it'll keep the card. It'll never move out. It'll stay really perfectly still. So even with top loaded sheet, there's
Right.
a tendency, You know, you move them to a show or move them if you're a dealer, whatever, they just still move around. But there is an option. They're like penny sleeves, but if you buy regular penny sleeves, it's not going to fit in the binder. They're going to be all wrinkled and stuff like that. Perfect Fit Sleeves has these penny sleeves that fit perfect for a raw card.
Okay.
And they're not gonna, it's not really hard to slide them in. You just slide them in and then there's a flap. But put the flap on the bottom of the card, not at the head of the player. Put the flap on the bottom. You want that flap to be going in first. So you want the thicker part on the bottom of the card inside the slot. That'll keep it tighter. So that's something to look into.
Okay.
So, but if you already have your cards in the binder, you don't want to take them all out again and buy 792, you know, perfect
Right.
for all cards.
So I had someone ask me a question too, and that question was, do I put my high-end big name cards in the sleeves? For me, I don't. I've kept, like in my 1960 set, the Brooks Robinson, the Willie McCovey, the
Yastrzemski,
you know, yeah, I do not put those in there. They're in
top load.
solid cases.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in solid cases, and I know where those are at. They go with that binder in the event of whatever, you know, I don't know what, selling it or whatever you're going to do. For me personally, I don't put those high-end cards in the binder sleeves.
It's a good point. And a lot of the binders will have like slots in the inside of the
Yes.
binder, and you can put them in there.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of binders where they'll have even two slots, two levels.
Yeah.
And it's mainly just for that, where you can, if you want to keep like a very top end rookie card in a magnetic holder, you know, it's that's wise to do too, especially when you're getting into the older sets from the 70s. Like if I'm doing 73, the big rookie in there is Mike Schmidt. Do I really want to keep a Mike Schmidt rookie in a sleeve in the binder?
No.
If it's in bad shape, I really, it wouldn't matter. But if it's in really nice shape, that
Well,
probably
that's a point too. That's a point that if you have one that you can afford as a filler card and put it in that sleeve, that you're okay with it, and
right.
you have your high end one somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple people do both.
Yeah. No, that's a good point too. I have a lot of friends of mine that when they put sets together, when you open up the binder, there's about 4 or 5 cards, and some of them are graded, and some of them are in top loaders, and
Right.
inside sleeve of the binder,
Okay.
because it's a high-end rookie card.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not putting it in. I'm not putting it in a sleeve. So,
Absolutely not. No.
well, for me, I hope that's helped a few people. That's how I will put a set together and work on it. The only other last piece I would say is I actually keep one small binder. It's a 1/2 inch to 1 inch binder, tabbed out with the years that I'm working on. So, and I got an Excel spreadsheet. There's numerous sites, Cardboard Connection, and a couple other places you can go that will actually have a printable um, list and log of cards that you need to complete that set. So that's a couple things that people needed.
Right. And there's websites out there like comc.com where you can buy individual cards. And if you buy, I think it's over a certain amount. I don't know if it's over $100 or when the shipping is free. And a lot of the cards on CMC are pretty reasonable. So,
Right.
you know, when you get into piecing sets together, you know, buying lots is the way to go. Like someone on Facebook or eBay will have a lot of 50 cards or 70 cards of 73s or whatever. And,
Yep.
and but like you said, you could buy another lot that a lot of those cards were in the first lot already. So now you have doubles. But
Yep.
that's what's going to happen. It's worth getting that second lot that you say the first lot had 50 cards, the second lot has 80 cards, but a lot of those cards in the second lot you had in the first lot, that's okay.
They're all doubles.
They're
Yeah.
all doubles, but that's okay because there could be cards in that second lot that you picked up that you really need.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
it could be expensive cards, but they're going to be cheaper because they're part of a lot.
And there's people out there that will let you do, you know, pick 5 cards for $5 or 8 cards for $10, whatever. As long as you know what the cards are you're looking for, that's okay. Again, you can also go out and buy that thing outright. You might win it on a bid and get a smaller price.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And I've seen sets. Friends of mine have done sets in the 50s, and you would think there's certain cards in those sets that are really expensive, like a checklist.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much money. Like I know someone who did the 57 top set, and he's almost complete. He needs two cards, and the two cards are checklists, and those checklists are like no joke. They're like a couple $100, and these are check
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of checklists around. So
Sure.
and remember that the checklist is a part of the set too.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I didn't think about that. Okay.
But once you get into the older sets, yeah, those checklists are unbelievably expensive
They're harder to get.
and harder to
Okay.
get.
All right. Well, hopefully that has helped a few people. It's helped me with a couple more things I've learned for Ray. Uh, hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We will be coming back. We'll probably announce what the next show will be, and we'll jump into another topic. Again, if you guys have anything and you connect with Ray or connect with me, let me know. If you have a topic or you want to discuss it, we'll certainly get it out there. And then I appreciate everybody coming on.
Yeah, thanks for everyone joining and watching episode number 1. We got a guest coming on for episode number 2, and you
There
want
you go.
to that one because it's going to be a hot topic that's been a hot topic this whole year.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks. Have a good night. And what did you think of the World Series?
I was surprised. I was surprised. I had the Astros winning the whole thing. That's
What do
why
you,
we play the game. You know, you never know who's going to win.
I heard someone say today that that Bryce dressed up as a national for Halloween tonight. So
I've heard more talk about Bryce Harper these past couple days than when he was actually playing with the Phillies.
yeah, I bet you he's thinking that a little bit differently right now. So all right.
Good.
Well, hope everybody has a good night and happy Halloween. And I'll talk to you later, Ray.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right.